YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and we're going to jump into another replay here. I'm going to try and give you some more tips, also giving myself tips, kind of watching these from the point of view, like, hey, what can I do to improve what I did here? And I'm going to try and focus in on one thing every day. And today I didn't really have that focus point. I'm going to watch here and kind of choose something at the end of this video to try and focus on, and then work my way from there. And just try and make sure that I can try and get little things improved every day, just for fun. And hopefully maybe you all can try some of the same stuff if it seems like it's worth your time. So my build, 6 Libyan infantry, 1 mercenary noble fighter, it's out here, screened by a late Libyan hoplite. I've got 2 of them, 1 on each flank, 2 Scutari, 2 Carthaginian cav, general's bodyguard, and an Iberian cav, along with 3 Balearic slingers. My opponent's army, as far as what's visible, I've got 3. He's got 3 archers, mercenary Thracian cav, 3 Thessalian cav, looks like 1, 2, and then a 3rd here, and then a companion cav, 6 thorax swords, 2 thurio spears. Though that is not an entire army for the Macedonian, he must have stuff that I can't see at this point, which you would have seen on the opening screen if you look closely. I actually really like this army for the Macedonian. It's not super strong, but it's potentially a capable counter for Carthage. I would have liked it better if his general was a royal peltist rather than a companion cav. Yeah, I think it would have been better in that case. Not sure about the Thracian cav as a pick. It's not a bad idea. The main reason why I wouldn't have picked it is just because the Carthaginians already are at a cav disadvantage to you with the Thessalians. And I don't really know, because normally that's kind of the best thing for skirmisher cav, and he's wasting ammo on my late Libyans. And let's talk a little bit about what I did different in this battle, just to pose the last one. So I watched the battle from this point of view the whole time to try and keep a better eye on my forces and my opponent's forces. So if you look at it from a reverse point of view, it seems like you can see your own forces better and watch your flanks better. I don't know if some people like to play like this or not. Tell me if anybody else likes to play like this, or if you think it's a good idea. I'm just going to try it and see how it works. So a tactic, a lot of you always ask me, like, Air, how do we deal with skirmish cavalry? This is how you deal with skirmish cavalry. At first, you'll notice I had to run them off for a second with these guys. That is not how you deal with skirmish cavalry. I lost a man and took a lot of hit point damage. Don't use your cavalry to run them off. Always bring spear units like this. Number 1, they're good to support in a cav fight, and cheap with good armor is the best. Not everybody has it. Thurio spears are good at this. Levy Freemen are good at this, late Libyans are good at this, militia hoplites are good at this. Any unit that can basically keep these guys at a distance, make them waste ammo, make them make a mistake, all of that kind of stuff is good. So that's how you deal with skirmish cavalry. Keep your own cavalry and your high value units away from it. Notice that these guys have an unshielded flank exposed to the Thracian cav. Don't let them get near targets like this, because it is well worth their while to hit them. My opponent starts playing games with me with his Thurio spears, throwing javelins at my Libyan infantry. Not sure what the point of that is. He should save his javelins for a cav fight, I think, or for rear fire. So I shot him in the back with some javelins on the way out. And he's going to play cat and mouse with me a little bit more here, though he did shoot my guys in the back with his archers. Not a bad deal there. These guys took some hit point damage as well. But his archers are not in a good position. They're coming out and facing off against Balearic slingers, and uphill in the woods does not matter. They're going to get slain by Balearic slingers. They don't have the range, and they don't have the rate of fire, and they don't have any armor, and they don't have any shields. These guys are a huge risk. I can chase them off with my cav. He really should have kept the Thessalian cav all the way up here to help protect these guys if he was going to do this, but I don't recommend that it be done. I get pretty darn greedy here over a unit of archers that are already routed and make a stupid mistake. In the age of Emperor Edition and all the precursor javelins, do not run your cavalry close enough to enemy infantry to get javelined. Javelins have a bonus versus cav, and this just ruins my Carthaginian cav unit. It was a stupid move, so don't do that. I am doing good here at keeping his Thracian cav at a distance. I haven't yet showed my Iberian cav, but he's going to scout it out here in a minute. My opponent eats more javelins with his Thurio spears and is also eating copious amounts of Balearic slinger fire, and that's not going to be good. Having a rock pelt you in the head, helmet or not, is really not going to be pleasant. Now he does make an interesting move here. I wasn't paying attention. I'm off microing back here or something, and my opponent charges these Libyan infantry in the back of the Thessalians. It's a pretty decent charge, all things considered. Kills 16 Libyans and really hurts this unit. It's now rendered fairly combat ineffective versus his thorax sword, so an interesting move, and a pretty good one. This is not a good move, though. Don't do this when you have skirmishers. I think my opponent would have been better off. I came down and offered like an engagement down here on fair ground with my opponent. He should have just taken that engagement. Again, uses companion cav to disrupt my noble fighters if he needs to. Uses Thessalians to keep my cav off his flanks. Just come down here, take an engagement, use your archers to start singling out my noble fighters, while trying to put pressure on my skirmishers with your Thracian cav and your Thessalian cav. So again, you could use your Thurio spears to kind of box out my cav a little. Just try and put pressure on my skirmishers so that they can't fire at yours, while yours are firing at my noble fighters. That would have been ideal, I think. So we'll just kind of see how it plays out. I definitely don't think that this is the right way for him to go, because he just loses all his skirmishers, and then it's going to force him to attack, and then I can hopefully get some engagements on my terms. But yeah, anyway, from watching from this angle, it's really easy for me to keep an eye on his Thessalian cav and his Thracians, and I've really enjoyed that in this battle. Seems like it helped me over the last battle where I ended up not paying attention and getting rear charged by a Hippeus Lancer. Now, fortunately, in that battle, my opponent went straight for my Balearic Slingers. That was a mistake. At least I think it was. He should have hit some of my infantry with a clean rear charge and then got one of my flanks routed, and then he would have had support there for his Hippeus Lancers because his infantry would have been free, and that would have been a dangerous situation for me. My Balearic Slingers had an attack order on his archers, and again, I wasn't paying attention. But I don't let them get javelined. I catch them at the last second, fortunately, because that was also almost very bad. But my cavalry has been weakened on this flank, so this flank is potentially vulnerable. But my opponent is kind of overloaded with cav to this flank. He's only got one over here, so fortunately I should be able to handle them. So, and let's just think about this. This scenario, well, here first let's judge the charges. So this is one way to get better. Make sure you get good charges. Here, I click charge orders, my opponent countercharges me here, so this is going to be a bad engagement for that unit. This is going to be a bad engagement here because I'm being charged by these guys. This will be a good engagement for me. This will be a good engagement for me. This is a very bad engagement for me because my opponent's charges here are effective. These guys have a charge order and it will be okay-ish because these guys I think were charging here, but and then this will be a good engagement for me here. So about half of my sword engagements were poor because I wasn't paying close enough attention. So get in there and micro that charge. Make sure you get your charges right. See how my men are suffering because of it? Now again, this is what you use the javelins for Thurio spears to do, at least partly, also against cav. This is a good idea. Look at these Libyans here, completely exposed. He's nailing them with Thurio spears. Great. Excellent move. And then my opponent reveals his flanking force over here, which is Thracian warriors. Now, these guys are a good pick. My cavalry can't touch these guys. They could hurt them a little on the charge, but the Thracians would start owning my cavalry almost instantly. They're fantastic on the charge, and they are just good units for flanking, and he's supporting them with the mercenary Thracian Peltist, a very dangerous Peltist unit. Yeah, it's a good Peltist unit. Thessalian cav to support the whole thing. Now here I get the better of my opponent again, so his charge was focused on my Scutari cav, so I substituted my Iberian cav. His Thessalians now don't get a charge versus my Iberians. Yes, they'll still kill some of them because my guys are crazy light, but I actually get a few kills on his Thessalians with my Iberians, and then I can bring my Scutari in to support, and then I move my Carthaginian cav uphill, and I'm going to station them here. The forest slows down enemy charges, and it will allow me to basically keep this unit off my flank. Now I think a smart move here would have been go for this gap, but again I keep an Iberian cav and other units here to kind of watch for that. My mercenary noble fighters shred the thorax swords in the center with only 6 losses, and my opponent is trying to outflank me over here, but he can't he can't turn his back because he's going to get shot by slingers. He's already getting shot by slingers, and I'm wrecking an entire thorax sword unit while holding over here. So this is where slingers can be very dangerous. Now my opponent here going to get a very nice downhill charge into my mercenary noble fighters. So I didn't actually see these guys. I was faced this way, but these guys were just off my screen, and he gets a brutal downhill charge into my mercenary noble fighters. It's a good job by his companion cav. He's not going to want to stick around in that melee for too long, but he did get some nice kills, and then he's going to do the right thing and try and, well, he kind of pulls through a little bit too much without having the best angle, and so he loses a few cav there to my noble fighters. He does go straight for my slingers though, good choice. Look at this, his Thessalians died to my Scutari cav because they didn't get the charge. Now these Thracian warriors though are going to make good on that. They are going to destroy my cavalry there. But I'm not worried about the Thracian warriors too terribly much as long as I can get rid of the Macedonian cav because my slingers will own them. Over here, my opponent charged me with Thessalians. I used my depleted Carthaginian cav to blunt his charge and then brought in the Scutari cav. Again, good strategy here because otherwise the Thessalians would have wrecked me, and then in this condition, the Scutari cav are going to do very well. Now some of my infantry engagements went well, and I'm doing well because of it. My general chased off the companion cav, and for some reason my opponent ran away from my general, and just my general here is actually killing companion cavalry because he was fleeing from me, and I'm going to support with the mercenary noble fighter. So that was a big mistake on the part of my opponent. He does get a clean charge on my Carthaginian cav up here. I wasn't paying attention, but they do pretty well because his guys charged uphill through the forest. His Thracian Peltist haven't gotten a lot of kills yet, and now his Thracian warriors are going to feel the wrath of my Balearic slingers. He can't catch my slingers. I kept an Iberian cav again just in case I need to kite back against my opponent. I have a unit to charge infantry with. I have more cavalry coming free here, and I have more infantry being freed up on either flank. I can now start going wherever I want with these guys. I'm going to leave my general here to knock out the companion cav. He's almost got his war cry back, and that should do it. I got mercenary noble fighters to intercept these Thracian warriors. I'm going to send in my Iberian cav to destroy these Thracian Peltist. They probably should have stood their ground. Iberian cav are going to be brutal against these guys in melee just because Iberian cav has a very nice attack. And then my slingers, of course, destroyed the other Thracian warrior for the most part. What's left of it is getting eaten alive by my noble fighters. And at this point, my opponent admits defeat. So what are some of the things I did right, some of the things I did wrong? So I liked my strategy of turning the camera around so I could see my back lines, but I may still want to get a little bit better comprehensive view of the battlefield because I let those companions get a good charge on me. I think the other things I need to pay closer attention to, and I'm going to make this my focal point for tomorrow, is watch my charges closer, get better charges in the infantry engagement, because that's just taking an unnecessary disadvantage to your opponent right from the beginning. And then once I get better at taking the charges, the next thing I want to practice is better meat shielding for my charges. That's a pretty important tactic in Rome 2, is being able to get a proper meat shield out there so that your infantry get the better charges. So I'm going to really focus on taking engagements better, picking your engagement better, getting into it with the right charges, stuff like that. Now overall, my Libyans that got properly engaged did well. His thorax swords, the ones that got properly engaged like this one and this one, did well. His Thracian warriors, these guys must have gotten a hold of my cav and some other units because they did some great damage. These ones got picked apart by slingers. Archers just got destroyed. Thracian cavalry got destroyed. I killed his Thracian cav with my Iberian cav when he wasn't paying attention. These guys were extremely handy in this battle. I really like Iberian cav. I don't know that they're like real competitively viable, but they are a very handy unit. They can interrupt charges of better cavalry, give your Scutari a chance to get in. Also, Libyan infantry are good at that. They're really good at killing skirmishers. Mercenary noble fighters, no match for Oathsworn, but they are a real danger to Roman infantry and to Royal Peltist and other units such as those. So they can be potentially helpful, and of course they'll just mop the floor with mid-tier swords. In any case, hope you all enjoyed it. My Balearic slingers did great here, really again showing their power in this battle if they get left to the late game. And that's a tip I'd give you all. Don't leave units like Balearics or Rhodians or Eastern Slingers or whatever it be until the late game. They will screw you up. They have a lot of ammo and they have good armor piercing damage, and if they can kite you, you will get killed by them. Anyway, so my focus the next few days, get better at those engagements. Watch those little micro things, and I'm going to practice at it. Keep using my viewing point there to try and be a little more situationally aware so that I can do better on the engagements. Hope you all enjoyed it. Signing off for now. I will see you soon.